Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be addressing some suspension issues that have been plaguing me since the car. Yeah, guys, say hi.
Yeah, hi.
Since day one, as soon as the motor came back, went in the car went down on the ground. The front tires have stuck out too far. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that in other videos, and the video that's going to come out after this one, I talk about it more, but you won't see that until after this one comes out. It's because I have the larger aerospace drag brakes that cause your brakes to get pushed out, or the entire wheel to be pushed out. So if I'm good at editing, or if I'm okay at editing, you're going to see a picture of what that looks like right now. And as you can see, the tire sticks out too far. If I messed up on editing, then that little pause right there in the video doesn't make any sense. But if I was able to edit that in, just a still photo of how it looks, you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't like the tire sticking out. I can't drop the suspension all the way, so the nose has been higher than I really want it. I'm afraid of the tire going up into the fiberglass body, because that's time and money that I don't have to repair it. So today I'm going to be putting on lower, or only A-arms, new ones from UPR. These are the stock ones. Put that here. I guess I should turn it around. Try to line them up the best I can. And I don't know how well you can tell. I know this isn't really a straight line. Here, let me. So it would make more sense to line them up on something straight. Okay. And if you can tell, this one is longer than this one. So it's 1 inch difference to be exact. It's basically going to tuck the whole wheel assembly back in. I'm going to lose some of my tire alignment, because with the suspension, it's fixed up here. I have no adjustment like I would if it was stock. So the bottom is going to get pulled in, but the top will stay the same. So it will slightly tip the tires out, fraction of an inch. It's not a daily driver. It's rarely driven on the street. So none of that's going to matter to me. If it was really that big of an issue, I'm sure something could be done as far as cutting and welding, but I don't want to get that extensive. That's not bag bomb. Put that away. I don't want to get that extensive into the project. The slight alignment issues are going to be just that, very slight. So I'm not worried about it, as it should be pretty obvious. I've already started the tear down. I didn't have time to pull out the camera. Basically, my wife turned her back on me for a couple of minutes when she thought I was in the house keeping her company. I ran out in the garage real quick and started tearing stuff apart. Did that in just a couple of minutes, so it wasn't really that exciting to watch on video anyways, and I ran back in the house and it was like I never left. So now that I have some free time to work on it, I will get everything bolted back up. It's really only 6 bolts on each side. It's very easy. That's what I'm going to do today. Unfortunately, today the car will not go back on the ground. I'll wait till it is back on the ground to actually finish editing this video and then post it online. And the reason for that is this green wire right here, which we will discuss more in the next video. But all you need to know is that the turbos are not draining properly, and this wire is the beginning of the solution for draining the turbos, because I was actually getting a leak. This spot right here, which is almost completely cleaned up now, is oil that had dripped from the turbo onto my wastegate and then onto the ground. I noticed a small amount of oil every single time I drove it, so I've been having this problem since day one. And when I do lower the front of the car down maybe a ½ inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch after all the suspension stuff is done, that's only going to exacerbate the issue that I'm having with the oil drainage. So you'll see that in the next video, but for now, let's go ahead and get some suspension work bolted back up. I should say that I went with the red. It came with 2 sets of bushings. I went with the red ones because, one, that was what was on there when I got the car with these A-arms. And then also, they did give you a set of black, which Lucy is organizing for me right now. And the only difference is that the black is supposed to be more street friendly, whereas the red ones are more for road racing or just pure drag racing. Since this car is only going to see a couple hundred miles a year on the street, I consider it more of a drag car, so I went with the red. So I should say the other thing my concern was is that how do I know which arm goes on which side, because they are slightly offset. The ball joint is not directly centered between these two. In this case, on this arm, it's slightly further this way. I'm over exaggerating, but the center line is here, so it's slightly off. But the way you can tell is that this side is wider than this side, so you will not be able to put these in incorrectly. They're only going to work one way. So that makes it easy for me and anybody else doing this job. So let me put up the camera, pull out the parts, and then I can start bolting stuff together. Alright, so already determined that this is the one that goes on this side. I'm going to try to get it to line up as easily as possible, hopefully. Almost. Oops. And there goes my brakes. I didn't want to bleed the brakes again, so that's why this thing's sitting here on the block of wood. And it feels like that center. It's times like this I wish I had a rubber mallet. But I have a block of wood.
Block of what?
Yeah, block of wood. It would probably be easier too if I didn't have this exhaust pipe in the way.
Daddy, I'm down something.
Now I just gotta figure out what I did with those bolts that hold this together. I'm pretty sure my daughter got into those too. She sure did. I got a whole collection of stuff on the ground over there, tools, parts that I didn't put there. She took it upon herself to organize my workspace, and I use the word organize very loosely. So now realizing the jack stand that's holding the car up has got to go so I can get the bolts in. So let me drag my jack out. It's buried behind a bunch of stuff. Oh no, actually it's right over here. No reason to go crazy high. Leave the other jack stand in place. And if there's a better way to put these bolts in, not sure. I'm just going off of. Now, don't play with the camera, Lucy.
Hi.
You're waving to the back of the camera. No one can see you back there. Here, you want to wave again?
Bye.
Bye. All right.
Hi.
There's Lucy's 15 minutes of fame.
Here's that. Oh
Yeah,
no, it's gone.
No, it's not gone. Don't touch the camera, please.
Back up. Goodbye. Where are you?
Yeah, where's Brutus? He's under the car.
Oh, hi, brother.
Okay, I'll get those tighter in a minute. I'm not 100% sure why these came with the car. I mean, obviously, they were right here. They act as some sort of spacer. It's my understanding that different years use different thickness shocks. I can't remember if the older ones are wider or the newer ones are wider. But I can tell you for sure these spindles came off of my last car, which was a 92, and they're actually loose. in here, which is the reason for these spacers that I'm sure were fabricated right before I got the, or I took the car in my possession. There's that bolt up here. So I'm thinking the newer Foxes, obviously if this came from newer Fox and it doesn't fit with these shocks, I'm guessing these shocks were designed for an older car, or maybe 4-cylinder. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I didn't have to use these little spacer things on my last car.
Come here. I'll cut you off.
Lucy, don't chase him, please. So this might be interesting to try to do with one hand.
Cut you off.
Only 2 hands, however you want to look at it.
Okay, cut your hair off.
Show
Okay.
you.
What bottle? Shaking
I don't really think that it matters which direction you do it, so let's see what we can get away with here. First, just put one bolt in to hold the weight. Let's see if this works or if it backfires horribly. I'm not sure which. Yeah, I don't know how well that's going to work because I can't pull the other bolt out.
Ow. Step on it. Nick cut you and ow.
Wait on that for a minute. This might help stabilize it. I'm just going to get the bottom arm. Alright, I got it all back in there. Oops. Aligning it was a little more challenging than I thought, especially when your daughter walks up behind you with a pair of needle nose pliers and grabs your back. So that wasn't any fun. That was probably the loudest I've screamed in a while.
You see Mario.
Yeah, you see him tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Anyways, that's kids for you, and little dogs. But anyways, so everything's lined up there. Obviously not tightened down. I did have to disconnect the ball joint, which I will line up now, just so I could finagle or wrestle around with the arm or the spindle. I'm sorry, which wasn't possible while this was all hooked up. Go. So that's pretty easy. That's it.
Daddy,
What, baby?
what is that?
Okay. Nothing's tightened down at this point. It's all hooked up except for...
My sister.
Okay, hold on, Lucy.
Your sister.
I still need to hook up the rack and pinion, but I have to adjust it because obviously now with the arms being an inch shorter,
Need that.
with the arms being an inch shorter, these have to go in roughly an inch. That's how I'm going to set it up initially. If the car's got to go in for an alignment, I will. That's not a big deal. But we're going to use the rudimentary math of if the arm is 1 inch shorter, then this should be 1 inch shorter. So after I tighten everything up, I will look for some tools so I can do that. And then I'll mark it, I'll measure it, make another mark, and then make my adjustments from there. Alright, first off, I have to apologize for the lapse in video coverage. I had to turn off the camera because my daughter wouldn't stop talking behind the camera, so I'm sure the microphone was picking up everything she was saying. And then my 2 Great Danes were in the house howling. Sissy, stay in the house! And they're still trying to get out here. Because the miniature pincher is in the garage with me, the 2 Danes are not happy about it, and they're letting me know. So they were making a ton of noise. So I just turned the camera off. I also got frustrated because I realized it was more practical to put the bolts in from this side. Sissy! Originally I had the bolts coming in from the back. This worked out better, so I basically had to undo what I had just done on camera, flip it around, put it back together. But everything's tightened back up. I did have the suspension compressed just a minute ago. And it doesn't look like I'm going to have any the caster camber. I'm not an alignment guy. I don't know the fancy words. The thing where it angles in or out at the top. It looks like it's going to be pretty good straight up. So I was hoping it was going to be a non-issue. It seems like that's going to be the case. I basically shortened the length of the arm by 1 inch. Again, rudimentary measurements with just a measuring tape. Marked it with a marker, made sure I had everything, in place when I made the adjustment, and put it all back together. So it looks like it's pointing straight forward, but that doesn't mean anything because I have the wheel pointing up. So we won't know how far off the alignment is to go for a drive. So now that I've done this side, the other side should be easy. So I'll go back and I'll do this side here. Hopefully I'll leave the camera rolling the whole time. In this case, it looks like I never even took this bolt out. So that'll make it easier to put everything back together. So anyways, let me set up the camera, pull all my tools that I used over to this side, chase my Great Dane back in the house because apparently she doesn't listen very well, and then we'll get back to work. Okay, after assessing the issue I just had with the impact, apparently it's taken a dump. So it's going to end up in the trash. I'm going to have to go buy another one. But I did manage just to throw everything back together since at the time it died, I was pretty much working anyways. Everything's all bolted back up. Everything's tightened except for the two where the arm attaches to the K-member. I'll torque that down once it's the suspension's compressed. As far as the initial alignment is concerned, it looks like I'm way off because this one looks like it's towed in a little bit and that one is way in. So obviously it's going to need an alignment. I'll probably do what I did with my last car, which is the string method. I'll attempt to align it myself before spending any money aligning it. Since I think alignment's like $150 now, it's crazy. Just to basically do what I'm going to do, except instead of using a piece of string, they're going to use a computer with a sensor. Kind of iffy on that. If it was like 70 bucks, we'd talk about it. But for 150 bucks, I'd rather just make an attempt at it myself. So if you know what this string alignment method is, essentially you just run a string around, line it up with the back tire, come up to the front here, you have a jack stand holding the string, and then you adjust the rod to adjust the tire so it's pointing as you want it. But anyways, there's videos online. I'm not going to go into any type of detail on how you actually would do it, but just look it up. It's real simple. So anyways, suspension's back together. I could actually put the wheels back on and put the thing back on the ground, but as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I do have something planned up front. It should be pretty obvious by what I had said at the beginning, but my turbos are not draining properly. There's just not enough downhill slope. This is the side that's causing the problem. This side, I'm getting away with it. I haven't had any leaks yet. Yet is the key word. But like I said, I wanted to lower the suspension a little in the front. I have done that. Basically, I've rotated this. I don't know what these are officially called. I just call them bumps. So I've turned it 8 bumps lower on both sides. It was even before I started this project, so it should be even now. Just, again, 8 bumps lower. So it's going to sit lower in the front end, which is only going to make the oil drainage issue worse. Okay, I decided at the last minute to finish the video by showing what the car looks like back on the ground. It's not 100% perfect because the car is sitting way up in the air like we're going off-roading. Let me go ahead and flip the camera around. You can take a look. I don't have much light in my garage, so here's my work light. If I was gonna, Dukes of Hazzard this thing over some kind of ravine, the suspension's perfect, but I'm not going to. So I need to adjust the suspension a little bit lower. That's what's gonna happen tomorrow. The other reason I put the nose back on is because my wife came home from work, demanded that she is able to park her van in the garage, and I said fine. And that means I had to get the nose out of the way. I didn't want to stick it back in the corner. I just didn't feel like it. It was easier just to put it on the car, check the ride height. I'm not sure what happened because I lowered the suspension. I lowered the adjustment, the spring retainer, like I had said earlier in the video, and yet now it sits higher than it did before. So I'm not sure what happened there. And it's on both sides. I know I didn't turn it the wrong way. But it is what it is. I'm going to have to adjust it. It's tucked in over here, although the body panel isn't attached on the bottom, so the fender's actually sticking out a little bit further than it will once everything's fully attached. I only have the upper Zeus fasteners attached on both sides. The lowers are not. As you can see, this tire is towed in a little bit, whereas this one is pretty much dead on straight. So obviously my DIY alignment did not work out as well as I would have hoped, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm going to do the string method, and that'll get it aligned back up. The suspension's going to have to compress a little more. The tops of the tires do stick out a little bit, so I'm not sure, is that caster or camber? Again, I'm not an alignment guy, but whatever it is, I can't adjust it, unfortunately. Due to the fact that the suspension is welded together, or I have no adjustment in this. That's just how it is. So I might try loosening the 2 bolts down there and see if there's any slack, any play where I could basically push the tire in at the top and pull it out at the bottom and then tighten those back down and see if that helps. I doubt I'm going to get much, but if I can get anything, great. And if not, like I said, this car only sees 200-300 miles a year. Well, it's never seen that under my ownership, but it will only see 200 to 300 miles a year. So it's not that big of a deal. I still have to work on it tomorrow to fix these little minor issues, but I was planning on doing the oil pump install, which is also nice. I can confirm that there's plenty of room. Yeah, tons of room down there. So oil pump will be down there tomorrow. That's what I'm going to work on. But this video is done at this point. The fine adjustments that have to be made to the ride height and possibly to the angle of the tires will be done at a later time. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and the next video you get to see some fabrication being done, because the oil pump is here in Vegas. It didn't go out for delivery today for some reason, even though they had it at 3 o'clock this morning was the last update I got. So I'll get it tomorrow for sure. Anyways, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video.